All right, hey, it's a big week for them Razorbacks, so no one better to have on the show than our good buddy Tye Richardson, ESPN Arkansas Radio. Hit that line. Tye, I think the last time we had you on the show, you were down in the dumps, depressed, Arkansas's in the toilet, on to basketball. Have you at least been brightened up by the start of the season?
Yeah, I think there's some elements to this team that you can get excited about, particularly on the offensive side. I think that there are some issues that showcase themselves on Saturday that if they come up again against Auburn this weekend or later on in this week, or excuse me, this year, then Arkansas is going to be in some trouble. But I think through 3 games, and as we look forward to this weekend, which is fastly approaching, Mike, there are some things that Arkansas fans can latch onto and hopefully hold through the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'll give you just insight, and I haven't even told the audience this time, but after the Pine Bluff game, so Cousin Shane texted me, he said, Tye needed this one. This was for Tye. And then after Oklahoma State, he said, man, we really ought to call him and check on his well-being after this week. So That being said, how big is this Auburn game for Sam Pittman and company? Because I can only imagine how the Arkansas fan base feels like they let one slip through their fingers against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, imagine being in Stillwater with your aunt who's a Oklahoma State graduate and sitting in the Oklahoma State section, front row, directly behind Mike Gundy. My aunt has insane tickets. Uncle went to Arkansas, aunt went to Oklahoma State. They go to Stillwater because they live in Tulsa, but it was tough. And like you said, I don't know if I was on suicide alert, but being in Stillwater after the game was pretty brutal. Those fans weren't that bad. If you're in an SEC town, they are just dogging, cussing you and just ripping you the whole time. But I think for me watching that game, it's the same outcome, a different way to get there. Offensively, they're nowhere near where they were last season from a better standpoint. Like, they're better, but you still lost a close game in a game you frankly should have won. So I think this game against Auburn, the importance you broke down there, Mike, is huge. I mean, you could get your first SEC win of the season in a hostile environment against I would say mid to bottom SEC team. Auburn, I don't think is that great based on what we've seen thus far. Never know with the Tigers and Hugh Freeze. They killed Arkansas. I think it was 48-10 last year. Hopefully Arkansas pays the favor back in Jordan-Hare Stadium this weekend.
Is it oversimplification to say this team can go as far as Taylen Green takes them? Because I guess UAB, it looked to me very shaky in spurts. I mean, he had some amazing plays too, but I mean, they were whooping Oklahoma State, obviously, and then the pick six. To me, it seems like, if he's on, Arkansas's got a shot to beat basically anybody. But if he has a so-so game, I think they can lose to anybody, at least in conference play.
Yeah, I think so, Mike. They have the ability to run the football. You and Shane broke it down. Jaquindon Jackson leads the SEC right now in rushing touchdowns. Andrew Armstrong, I just saw your graphic, is second in the SEC in reception yards. I mean, they've got 2 alphas in Jaquindon and Andrew, and you're hoping Taylen Green can play more like he did against Oklahoma State and less like he did against UAB. I think it was a combination of him being nervous in his first real home game because the UAB game was in Little Rock, and also, he's not a polished quarterback. Like, he's going to have his ups, he's going to have his downs, those peaks and valleys, and you're just hoping for more success than you are failure. But there will be some games this season where he's not able to bring him over the top, not just because of him. It's not like they're just loaded talent-wise on offense. I mean, as we mentioned, you've got 2 dudes, but after that, pickings are slim. We hadn't seen much of Luke Has 3 games in. I'm curious who else steps up for the Arkansas Razorbacks, Mike.
How about the defense? Where's your confidence level? Because the first half against Oklahoma State, I thought they were excellent. Second half, obviously, there was a big comeback. And then last week, I thought first half looked kind of rough, but then second half kind of played well enough to obviously win. So where's your confidence in the defense going into this on the road at Auburn, new starting quarterback for them?
So Travis Williams, for those who don't know, just had his kid last week, UAB week. And I think that played a role along with the fact that 5 or 6 guys weren't green jerseys. Coach Pittman mentioned that post-game. And they got drilled last year, as I brought up earlier. So I think I'm pretty confident that they'll have a better outing going up against a redshirt freshman quarterback and Hank Brown, who's making his 2nd career start. Mike, he didn't really see a ton of SEC talent last week and against New Mexico at home. He will this week. Now, Arkansas isn't, again, just some lethal defense that will rip your heart out. But they've got some guys that can play. And I think Travis Williams is going to unload on this kid this week. You don't necessarily go all out against a veteran quarterback because he'll pick you apart. But I know Brown had a good outing his first start, but there's no guarantee that he can duplicate that at home again against Arkansas. So I expect Travis Williams' defense to play much better than they did against the UAB Blazers.
What do Arkansas fans think of Hugh Freeze, who, at Liberty beat them? You mentioned it; they whooped them last year. But is this just karma for 4th and 25 or what?
I guess it's a good point. I mean, that 4th and 25 swine intervention, 2015, keeping Ole Miss out of the SEC championship will go down in Razorback lore and then go down in infamy in the Ole Miss record books because they should have been the SEC championship that year. Nevertheless, this is a matchup that Arkansas wants to avenge because Freeze made some comments last season that we could have scored more. And I mean, Payton Thorne, if you remember, that was probably his best game of the year. So now you're not going up against Payton Thorne. He gets benched, and Auburn's got some more guys on the roster, a lot of which they had in the offseason, wide receiver wise, a bunch of young bucks that you're going to have to figure out. Now, again, starts stopping the running attack, and I guess Jarquez Hunter. If you do that, then you're going to put yourself in a situation to maybe win this football game. But yeah, Freeze is a good coach. I'm surprised it hadn't gotten going at Auburn just yet, to be quite honest, Mike.
Mm-hmm. And is it too much to say that this game could define the season in terms of, I think if Arkansas wins it, there's an outstanding shot they go to a bowl game.
Yeah.
I think if they lose it, the schedule's not getting any easier, and I don't know that they can beat A&M, Tennessee, LSU, on and on and on. I think Sam Pittman is done. Maybe not immediately, but is that too bold of a statement?
No, I don't think so, because you look at the Arkansas's remaining schedule. You brought it up: LSU, Tennessee, Texas, and Ole Miss all at home. You got State on the road. I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to beat Mississippi State, Louisiana Tech. That's another win, but that's just 4 right there. So that means you got to pick out 2 more SEC opponents, and Auburn should be one of them. A&M, frankly, should be one of them next week in Dallas. So it's a pivotal game, and not just for Arkansas, but you look at Auburn's schedule and what they have incoming. I mean, they got to win this game too. Got to remember, Hugh Freeze is in year 2, and there's always pressure in Auburn, Alabama. Their fans expect to win this game, and they should. They're at home. They're a 3-point favorite, but it's going to be a tight one, I think, in Jordan-Hare Stadium. So I agree 1,000%, but I would definitely equate it to both sides because it's a big deal, Mike.
Yeah. Any surprise at the line? Because when it came out, I thought Auburn would be favored by at least a touchdown, but it was only 3, I think, and I think it's still 3. Does that surprise you?
It's a pickup game, essentially, in a neutral side. I mean, you get 3 points being at home. So, I mean, I think it just shows you there's respect-wise for Arkansas competing on the road. That doesn't mean they're going to win the game. We saw it last year multiple times. They'll battle you tooth and nail, but that doesn't mean they always win. I honestly, Mike, I wasn't that surprised at the line itself, but I am going to be surprised to see what Arkansas team comes out on Saturday. And frankly, what Auburn team, because, I mean, a mere week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, I mean, Cal beat the brakes in. And at home, that's an ACC Cal team. I don't know, man. College football is weird, and I just hope there's a dramatic ending for the good guys this weekend in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Yeah, well, and speaking of how weird college football is, is Bobby Petrino, he probably was more popular when he was winning, 10 double-digit wins, but he seems like the most popular man in the state right now. Is that too far?
Yeah, I think that Petrino's getting all of the credit when they win. Sam will get all the blame when they lose. And that's a no-win situation for Coach Pittman, but, I mean, it's what you signed up for. And give him credit. That's a hard thing to stomach ego-wise, and yet he did it. And we've seen the improvement through 3 games. Now, you got to see it in SEC play. You can't just do it against the Golden Lions, the Cowboys, and the Blazers. You've got to do it against the Tigers and so on. So if this continues, then Bobby Petrino is going to be liked and I guess revered as the savior of Arkansas football, even though he had a lot to do with them going in the ditch in the first place. No pun intended.
Yeah, he literally did. All right, I told you I'm going to hold off on this for a couple of days. Have you made your prediction yet, or can you make it here?
Dude, so before the season, I have Auburn winning this game. I have a weird got a weird way that Arkansas makes a bowl. I think they beat Tennessee, LSU, and Mississippi State and Louisiana Tech. Those are their 4 remaining wins. You can post this obviously however you want, but I hope that I get some more positive energy heading this game. I'm driving down. I know you're driving over to Norman some point this weekend. So it's just a tough, I mean, you know how it is. Jordan-Hare Stadium has the craziest endings in college football history. Kick 6, the Ricardo Lewis catch against Georgia. I mean, Aaron Murray was on the broadcast this week. All I can think about is you are the unluckiest quarterback in SEC history. Is he not? I mean, the end of the SEC championship game in 2012, that play against Auburn, I just felt bad for him. He got reamed by Jake Beckett back in 2010. I think he was a true freshman then. So I got Auburn winning a tight one, but I hope I'm wrong because that 10-hour drive back to Arkansas is going to be brutal if they win in dramatic fashion, Mike.
And did you even mention Gravedigger last year? I mean, that was Jordan-Hare too.
Yeah. No, that's the same outcome. And most of the time, again, it's like for Auburn and it goes with Auburn. But last year was one of the few times it actually went against the Tigers. And my gosh, 4th and 31. I don't think I've ever seen a play like that. Unbelievable finish from Jalen Milroe.
All right, last thing for you, Ty. I really appreciate your time. Let's say you're wrong, which let's hope you are for Arkansas' sake. Let's say they beat Auburn. What is the ceiling for this team? Would it just be 7 wins in your book, or could they do even better if you knew that this team was capable of going on the road and winning an SEC game in a very tough environment?
All right, let's turn this light on and hopefully the bulb goes off and that we're right. I would say that Arkansas very much so. If they win this game, the confidence level, I mean, you win this game, you're not losing A&M. It's the last game of the series. I'm going to turn this off because I look like crap. It's the last game of the series, Mike. I can't see how they beat Auburn and then lose to the Aggies. And I guess it was Marcel Reed that came in for an injured Connor Wigman this weekend.
Yeah.
Curious what Mike Elko does this weekend for the Aggies. I think the confidence would shine. And then you're 4-1. Again, what's the opposite of doomsday scenario? Best case scenario. You're 4-1 welcoming in Nico and the undefeated Tennessee Volunteers because they're not losing to Oklahoma this week. They're going to win that game. Heupel's pissed off he got fired. That's a homecoming. I know Oklahoma's going to be juiced. You and Shane are going to be happy and drunk after that game in Norman.
We may be in Fayetteville. We haven't decided yet.
Well, I was going to say you have to be there. If that scenario plays out like we're laying out and you and Shane don't come to Fayetteville, I'm going to be pissed off. My brother's going to be pissed off. The whole Arkansas fan base within that SEC podcast is going to be hacked off of you because first off, that's game day. I know they just it would have been 2 weeks prior for Oklahoma and Tennessee, but there's like 6 SEC teams off that day. There's no top 25 matchups currently, at least projected 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. So that Tennessee's in a game day. Last time Tennessee and game day came to town was 2006. And we know how that went that night. Darren McFadden, Felix Jones. It's a glorious night. You probably hated it. But that would be an insane atmosphere in Razorback Stadium at night if it played out. But that's like 50 million things that have to go right for that to happen, Mike. And I'm just fingers crossed, big dog.
Yeah, a lot of things have to happen, but it's not totally inconceivable. So I'm right there with you. What a sight that would be. I'd be happy to be there. Thank you so much, Ty. Before you go, can you share with my audience, how can they follow you? How can they find your work?
Thanks, Mike. That at Tye Sports Radio, the Morning Rush now airs, I'm so used to saying 6 to 9. It's 9 to 11 now. We have full 13 hours of programming each weekday. We've added Chuck Barrett and Bo Mattingly. I guess Chuck's been on our team for 2 years now, but from 6A to 7P, full Razorback sports on ESPN Arkansas, hitthatline.com, and the Hit That Line Now app. Mike, we got to get you guys an app, man.
I know it. Okay. Dude, we barely piece this thing together. We are far and away from an app. But I did want to ask you this real quick. So are you getting better sleep? Are you able to? Ty usually goes to bed about like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Are you at least being able to stay up now?
Yeah, I stayed up till about 10 last night watching Sunday Night Football, which is such a rare occurrence. On Sundays, I usually try and be in bed even earlier by 7:30, but stayed up a little bit later. And I'm going to probably watch football late into the night on several other nights the rest of the way, just because I have that flexibility now and the alarm doesn't go off at 3:30 a.m. anymore. It's definitely different, Mike.
Well, congratulations. Appreciate you, buddy. And reach out anytime you need anything.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Hope to see you in 2 weeks, big dog.